Hello, everyone. Welcome to the last session of the Property Management Induction Training. Yes, let me just mute our colleagues. Okay, you hear me, David? Perfect. Okay, so welcome everyone to the last session on write-off. Write-off and disposal, and a little bit BI reporting for these two business processes involved. But first, let me introduce to you to David Redondo. He will be in charge of this session, and I will be monitoring the chat. So the same dynamics as we have been doing this week. We'll be trying to collect as many questions as possible, and every 5-10 minutes, as David will assign, we will try to respond to your questions and queries, and then if not, we will take note of them, and offline or through an email, we will try to answer to those. So without further ado, let me give the floor to David. Over to you.
Thank you, Daniel, and welcome everybody to this session on the write-off overview. I would say also write-off and introduction as well to disposal. The purpose of this session is to give you an overview of how the write-off is managed in SAP and Umoja, and what users are involved, what are the steps, and we will be jumping from the presentation to the system from time to time. And we will be sending a presentation at the end of the day with all the reference information together with a job aid that also detail the steps. Okay. As we said the other day, for the recording purposes, we'll try to explain some blocks of information, and then from time to time, we will be stopping to try to answer questions and discuss and see your comments. Okay, can you hear me now? All right, so please allow me to start this overview with a review of the roles that are involved in the write-off process. So one second, are you muting all, or? Okay, please, okay, if someone is muting all from the panelists, please keep in mind that you're also muting me, so hold on, please. So as I was saying, we will start this review of the write-off process, taking a look to the different roles involved in the write-off. Now, there are two types of roles involved, the ones that are directly involved in the write-off and the transactions, and so some other roles that will be taking action in different modules. Okay, I'm not muted again. Can you hear me? No, I'm being muted. So I don't know what's going on. All right, sorry, because we are facing some technical issues. So the roles involved in the write-off are the following. I think I know what is going on. Okay. All right, so we have notification user. This is a SD01, and it's one role that you already know from the previous session, equipment assignment. This role will be responsible for creating a service notification, and we will see it later. Then we have SD02, notification approver. SD09, it's a new role. It's called disposal planner, and it's going to be like the person in charge of coordinating the write-off, updating the service notification, following up the process. We also have the SD11 or SD10, the role that we were already mentioning the last day, who is responsible of updating the equipment master record. Remember, this process is very important because not only because of all the KPIs and BI reports about write-off, but also because in terms of physical verification, if we don't have the equipment master record properly updated, we will have inconsistencies. There are other users involved in the write-off end-to-end process, like, for example, the fixed asset accounting user, FA15, that will be involved in the process if the equipment we are retiring or we are writing off is a fixed asset. So this user FA15 may take an action if we are writing off one asset. For the inventory user and senior user, they might be involved if you have inventory, but for this audience particularly, I believe it's not so common to have warehouse and inventory module active in SAP, but just for your information. So same applies to warehouse user, logistic user, and service delivery user. It will be involved depending on the type of disposal. Now, for this training, we will focus on the main ones. So we will try to explain very carefully what the notification user, the approver, the disposal planner, and the SD11 are going to take action. What role will they play, and what transactions will they execute in the system? All right, so if you are paying attention, please, this slide that we're going to review now is the key of the full session. So if you pay attention for the next 10 minutes and you put your energy to understand this, the rest of the session is going to go smoothly. If you don't understand this one, then you will be lost. So please pay attention to this one, and I will make sure that there are no questions at the end of the slide to make sure that everybody is following. Okay, so this process, the write-off process, is going to be executed in two different elements. There will be actions that will happen in the notification and actions that will happen in the equipment master record. All right, so very important. You need, when you're thinking about this process and the next steps, you have to think about, okay, this happens in the notification or this happens in the equipment master record. Now, in this sense, we can see two different areas. All the transactions and steps that will take place in the notification will appear on the left side. The actions that will happen in the equipment master record, you will see them on the right side over this orange background. Now, the very first step in the write-off process is the creation of the service notification. And this is done by the SD01 user, notification user. This is not different from the assignment process. So the very first step is the creation of this transaction that will detail what equipment item will be written off and what is the reason, and etc. etc. After the notification is created, it should be approved by the SD02 user, the notification approver. You will see here a green check, not only because we want to express that the notification is approved, but also because this is simply a change of the status of the notification. So the notification is created, then the SD02 user will change its status and will say this is approved. Okay, this happens in the notification. But now, after that, after the approval of the notification, we will want the equipment to be unassigned. in other words, the equipment, if the equipment was assigned to a person, we will want this person to return the equipment, and we will remove the user accountable from the equipment. I know the word unassign might not be fully accurate from an English perspective, but I think the concept is well understood using this word. At the beginning, when we received this equipment, it was assigned to someone. And now when we approve the notification for write-off, we want this equipment to be returned. And then the reference of this equipment to the person will be removed. And also the functional location will be removed. So after approval of the notification, the equipment is unassigned and uninstalled. But in other words, we remove the reference to the person responsible of the equipment, and we remove the functional location. And please see that these transactions are done at the equipment master record level, and they are performed by a different user. You see the colors are different. Orange color means SD11 or SD10 user is taking this action. Okay, so the equipment maintainer is master data maintainer is doing this action. After the equipment is uninstalled, because what we said, I want to write off this equipment. Then SD02 said, okay, I approve this. Then SD11 said, okay, I'm returning the equipment to inventory, or I'm removing the assignment of this equipment, and then I'm removing the functional location because will not be anymore with Daniel, for example, if he's the person that has the laptop assigned. After this equipment is uninstalled, then we go back to the notification, and a different actor will appear. We have now the SD09 user, the disposal planner. The disposal planner will take the notification and will review the notification, and we'll see if all the supporting documentation is there, if it's well described, etc. If everything is okay, he will review the notification and will, let's say, continue using the notification up to the end of the process. He will be updating the tasks, is going to be sending communication to SD11 to take action, etc. So this new user, and you will see it will be represented in gray, the disposal planner will review the notification and then will advise now the equipment master record to be updated as write-off in process. Who is updating again the equipment? The same user, SD11. And so SD11 will access again the equipment master record and will change, one second, I have this message, will change the status of the equipment master record to write-off in process. All right, you will see this icon here with an eye of information, because this is only a change of the equipment user status. So it's for information. What did we do with the equipment so far? We unassign it, we uninstall it, and then we said write-off is in process. Now that the write-off is in process, the disposal planner will initiate the write-off case. Okay, we'll prepare the case, and then eventually the case will go for review of the local property survey board or HQ survey board, depending on the let's say the financial value of the asset, right? So while this write-off case is under review of the board, the SD09 will again change the status of the notification to LPSB HSB review. Again, this green check that you see here, it means that it's only change of status while it is in review. So, and then eventually after the review is completed, SD09 will change the status of the notification to review approved. And then accordingly, will attach the write-off case document or the scanned copy to the notification for audit purposes. This action here is very important as well, because the date of the signature of this right of case will have financial impact and will be considered in the retirement of the asset if it's an asset. So after this SD09 user disposal planner changes the statuses of the notification up to review approved and attach the documents, then we go back to the equipment master record to change its status to disposal method and then whatever it was selected. So if the right of case was selected with disposal method sale, then in the equipment master record, we will select disposal method sale. If it's to be destroyed, if it's a donation, and so on, it will be updated. Who is performing this action in the equipment master record? So again, SD11, right? The same user. We are almost at the end because now that the equipment is also detailing the type of disposal method, then the real operational disposal will happen, the physical disposal will happen, and then we will go back to the notification to close it. Who is closing the notification? Again, the disposal planner. And once this is done and the right of, let's say, process is completed, we will go back to the equipment master record to deactivate it. And this will be done by the SD11. So if you look at the slide right now, okay, you can see on the left side of the picture all the actions that are happening in the notification and the users involved. So what is happening in the notification? The notification was created by SD01, was approved by SD02. Then the disposal planner takes the notification, reviews it, and starts communicating with the SD11 about the status of the process. Then the SD09 changes the status of the notification several times, attach the right of case, and close it. So this is the end-to-end process of the service notification. While if you want to think about what is happening on the equipment master record in this right of process, the equipment master record is unassigned. So we remove the user accountable from the equipment master record. We uninstall it. In other words, we remove the functional location because we are returning it somewhere. And then we change the status to right of in process. We change it to the right disposal method, and eventually we deactivate it. There is something else important that we do in the equipment master record that we will mention later. And it's always done by SD11, as you can see. So you don't need to worry anymore about who is doing what, because you see if it's in the equipment, it's always SD11. And it's including the notification number as a reference in the equipment master record, which is very important for reporting purposes. We will see it's done on the inventory number. It's called inventory number something, but it's basically to understand that there will appear, we will have a link between the notification and the equipment master record that we enter in the equipment master record for the reporting purposes. Now, do you understand this slide and this process? Because now, if you understand this one, we will go step by step doing it in the system, and we will mention some important facts, but we need to make sure that the process is well understood. So Daniel, is there any question about this slide, please?
Hi, David. So yes, indeed, we had some comments, but important, I think, was the fact that you went very slow, and that was part of the comments and requests from our students is just, okay, please do it slowly. So David actually did a very good job going one step at a time. questions, I don't think they are questions related to understanding the slide, but yes, we had a couple of comments related to the last comment you mentioned, that the link between the notification and the equipment master record, it's done by including the notification number in the equipment master record. In the shell, there is a field called inventory number. There and only there is where you input the notification number, and that's the link that will be shown actually in all the write-off and disposal reports, because all those reports pivot through that particular link, which is the notification number in the equipment master record. But you already mentioned, so so that's clear. Yes, over to you.
In addition to that, Daniel, sorry, I forgot to mention that, of course, there is another link, which is in the notification itself, we are including the equipment number. So you, in a write-off case, you can find the equipment number in the notification, and you can also find the notification number in the equipment. All right, so if you have a case, you can go from one to the other, but very important that for reporting purposes, don't forget to put notification number in the equipment master record, as Daniel said.
And Kirill, now it's just mentioning that we will need to explain as well at some point that the FA15 will have to de-recognize the asset for capitalized items. So, and I know that you know very well this process. So over to you, David.
Yeah, thank you very much, Daniel and Kirill. Yeah, let's say that this slide that you see here is like a super simplified version of the write-off. So at least you have the basic end-to-end process in your mind, and there are some variants that we will be mentioning now while we do the demo. And we have also some comments and some important points that we will be mentioning. So if this is understood, now kindly let me go to the system and to start doing the first step of the process, which is creating the notification. If you see, I have in the next slide, I have a lot of information here that is for your reference, but I thought it was better to go to the system and give you all this information within the context, and then keeping it as a reference as well for you, okay? So we will go from time to time to check the presentation. So we have this driving thread that is this end-to-end process. Okay, so now let me please open the training environment. And if you remember from yesterday, no, actually it was Tuesday, I think. We processed a good receipt, and we received a laptop. And this laptop was later assigned to someone. So we are going to work with the same laptop that we are going to try to write off. Okay. I was just changing the font size, so I hope it's much better for your eyes. Yes. Okay. All right, so I will be jumping from the presentation to the system. First step we do is creating the notification, and this is done by the SD01. So now I'm acting as an SD01 notification user. So the T code to create a notification is IW51. One important fact to mention here is that this right of notification should have quite a long list of tasks that will need to be maintained during the right of process. Some of the examples of these tasks are like the retirement of the fixed asset, the preparation of the case, the disposal itself. So in order to support this process, there are some templates, notification templates created already in production. And for your particular entity, it would be also possible to create them. So for the purpose of this exercise, I created a template as well in the training environment. So we will do it using the template to make it as similar as possible to production. Important, the notification type. Notification type for write-off is P1. If you open the list, we are using PW. So it's a different type of notification. This is something to keep in mind. And I'm using a template, which number is this one. So I'm creating now a notification for write-off. Now, one of the first thing that you would do in the notification is to enter the description. Okay, enter in the description. You can have it the description here, the short description and the long description, of course. So we'll say retirement write-off case for a laptop assigned to whatever Daniel due to damage something, whatever. You will explain here the write-off case. You have the short description and you have the title of the notification. Now for the write-off, we'll need to specify what equipment master record we are writing off. So I have to specify here the equipment number. So equipment number for this case, it's 16192301. This is one of the equipment master records that were created on Monday after good receipt, right? Because when is the equipment created? Automatically upon good receipt. I'm pressing enter, so the system is deriving information directly from the equipment master record. And you see here now we have the functional location, which is this functional. What is this functional location? Is basically where Daniel was using normally this laptop. So we have the equipment, we have the functional location derived automatically, and we have to specify as well the planner group, which is the team, let's say, responsible for this type of equipment. In this our scenario, I'm going to select T00 because it's a laptop and it's in MONUSCO. So, but for your situation when you have to process write-off, you will have to check what is your entity and how many planner groups you have. This planner group as well will be used for the system to identify the, let's say, the planner. Now this is the notification we are creating. We said we want to write off this laptop, and we have to specify in the notification the coding. The coding is basically the cause of the write-off. You might have already something defaulted if you are using the template, but in any case, you can click on the match code and say expand these options because we want to see write-off. Okay, sorry, because I have to delete as well. So we select here and we can see the different cases. So maybe this one is defaulted to obsolescence. Okay. All right. And then 1 second. Okay. Okay, I think, all right. Sorry, because I think I forgot to press enter and I was not getting the full list of values. So 1 moment. So as I said, using the coding, you can specify the type of case and the reason for this write-off to happen. So you have a list of entries that basically refer to every type of notification, but we are in write-off. And then you see here all the options. So we will select the one that it's more, let's say, fits better our write-off case. So in our case, we can say, for example, damage or surplus or obsolescence, accident, etc. Let's say that for our case, it's damage, for example, and we click on choose. All right, this would be the coding. And then we have to select as well the type of case or the case type. This is if we click on the object part, we will see a folder that says case type. And this is to specify if this is a case that will go through the designated authority, headquarters property survey board, or local property survey board. Of course, you know better than me that this will be selected depending on the financial value of the equipment that we are trying to write off. So for this example, let's say, for example, local property survey board, right? Because it's a laptop. All right, we have selected the case, and I think that's all. I will check also the rest of the tabs for you to take a look. So let me recap what we did. We created the notification from a template. We entered the description. We entered the equipment number, very important. This is the equipment we are going to, let's say, write off. We specify the cost of the write-off, in this case is damage, and we indicated here the type of case. So this one is local property survey board. And then we have here the planner group that was already defaulted, but we are basically selecting the planner group that is responsible for the type of equipment. And as well here you can indicate when is the notification started and the, let's say, expected completion date of the notification. If we go to next tabs, we can see here something interesting. So we see the plant is still MONUSCO, the business area, and we have a cost center here. So why do we have here a cost center? Because this cost center is derived from the equipment that we enter. As you can see here, there is asset input. So this asset number is empty because this laptop is actually not a fixed asset. But if we would be retiring a fixed asset, for example, a vehicle, you would have here an asset number. And this asset would be retired by FA15, so by asset accountant later. If we go to the tasks tab, we will see that there is a long list of tasks associated to this write-off case. This is a long list, but is really helpful because it will help you go through step by step through all the process in the write-off, and then will help the planner to be coordinating properly and seeing who is responsible for what and what tasks are pending and what are to be completed. Now, for this first step that we wanted to take, remember we are only on the creation of the notification. I think this is enough. So we are going to save the notification and we will write down the document number. So I'm clicking on save. And I take note of the notification number that appears at the bottom of the page. It is 10009725. Daniel, any comment about the notification itself before we go to the next step, that is the approval?
Hey, thank you, David. Yes, we have questions, comments, a bit of a doubt. It's related to whether to select local property survey board or the HQ's property survey board. That's more a business question rather than system question. But what I dropped in the chat is that probably that depends on the value of the asset or the equipment, of whether it's an strategic equipment. So, but that's, I already posed the question to Kirill, so I'm sure that he will give clarity on that one. Then Liena, it's asking why sometimes when you create the notification, the date of the notification is retrieved in the template. You create a notification with a certain date, and then when you create a new notification, that date is retrieved, but you can manually change. So that's not a problem. And some people working in small field missions are asking whether they can have, because they see plenty of roles, whether they can have all these roles, especially the ones related to the notification. One person can have different roles or not, and how that would work in the small field office. Over to you.
Hello, yeah. So regarding the question about why days in the notification they are coming like that is because the templates is simply a notification where you're copying from. So if you use the template, you have to make sure that you review anyway all the fields. About the user roles, right? In this process, we have 4 different roles. So in terms of user access provisioning, I think we sent, Daniel shared the how it's called, the user guide, right? The user guide that explains what incompatibilities you have if you want to assign different roles to the same entity, to the same person. So you can cross check there, right? So, and what else, Daniel? We have the question about if it's going to a local property survey board or HQ. This is, as Daniel said, is based on the financial value of the equipment. So if we are talking about an asset, it would depend on this net book value. And if it's equipment or a list of equipment, it would depend on the value of the equipment. So this is purely business, and I'm sure Kirill can provide the information about the thresholds. And so something else that maybe I forgot to mention is that for fixed assets, you need to have one notification for each asset that you are going to write off. But if you have to dispose several equipment master records, several equipment, you can have one service notification including multiple equipment. Okay, so this is just for you to keep in mind something related to that. So if I may continue, I have already the notifications, right? So we were in this step. Now I want to approve the notifications. So I'm going to open now the notification again, but I want to approve it. So in this case, we use a different code, which is IW52, and we want to approve the notification. So I'm entering the number of the notification, is that one. And I would like to approve and release actually the notification. All right, so here is the notification. Remember, approving the notification is simply changing its status. So if you remember, in every notification, you have here 2 fields. The first one is system status, and the second one is user status. The system status change automatically, so we cannot do anything. But the user status is updated by us. Now, at the moment, I'm acting as a notification approver. So I'm going to click on this pencil. I get the list of status, and I'm going to change from request created to request approved. This is all right? After I do this, the notification status is approved. But please keep in mind that since this is only changing its status, until we click on save, it will not be really approved. All right. Now, if as an approver, we realize that there is some missing information, we can request the notification user to, for example, attach something that is required, in terms of attachment. So if we want to attach something to the notification, same as we explained the other day in the assignment process, you need to go here to the top, click on this arrow. We will get a list of elements of the notification. So we just select service notification. And we go to what is called the records management plant maintenance. This records management is the functionality in SAP to attach documents. Okay, so this is to attach in case we need to attach something else. If everything is attached, and if we want to check the attachment as well, we have to go to the same place. We go to this triangle here, we click on service notification, and then we go to the records management, let's say functionality. If everything is fine and we already approved, the notification user, apart from approving, sorry, the notification approver, apart from approving the transaction, will click on this green flag to release the notification. Or here it says put in process. So this means we are giving green light to the disposal planner to go ahead, and as well to the SD11 to start acting on the equipment. So we click on the green flag and we save. So what did we do right now was what I did right now was to approve and release the notification. So we are in this second step. Okay. So in addition to that, so you see here you have all the information. The SD02 notification approver approve the notification, and then is going to release by clicking on the green flag. And now we will inform the SD11 after the approval. Okay, we will inform the SD11 that needs to take action in the equipment master record. If you see now in this system, since there are two different elements, no, the SD11 is working on the equipment master record while we are working on the notification. Every time that one user has to inform the following user to do something, for example, in this part of the process where the SD02 will inform SD11 or SD09 will inform SD11, right? Every time that we do something in the notification and then we want the SD11 to take action, we will use a functionality that is built in the system to send emails. This way will be also tracked for audit purposes. So if the notification approver wants to inform the SD11 that he is ready, that the notification is ready to continue, and then he can start uninstalling and unassigning the equipment master record, we will do it in this way. So now I'm going to explain how this user is informing the following one. So if we go within the notification, you see on the right, there is a link that says send email. So in order to send this email, you click here. We get a text editor that is, a bit old-fashioned way. We explain here what we want to say. There is the 11 or whatever. Please proceed to unassign, uninstall, and return the equipment. I don't know, whatever. Right of case, right of notification, whatever. You explain everything here. Then you click back to select the let's say the recipient of this notification. We explain everything here. All the steps are really well detailed in the job aid, so please, this is only an induction and an introduction, so just try to catch the essence of the message. And then here we can specify, for example, the user ID of the person. If we are in production, we'll get it, or you can also enter the UN email address, or whatever. So we can say creado@un.org, for example, and specify that this is, let's say, an external address, which is an external to SAP. So we can specify simply the UN, the email address. And then once we have this one, we will be clicking on this icon to send the email to this person. So what we did was to use this send email functionality to communicate from the SD02 to the SD11. Go ahead and do these next steps. All right. So what do we do now? Now we go to the system and we act as SD11. We have to act on the equipment master record. How do we do this?
David, while you clear your throat, because you've been talking quite quite a long time without stopping. Just bear in mind, guys, that Kirill just dropped a very complete and comprehensive explanation on how the local property survey board works and the HQ property survey works and the thresholds and the different requirements in order to go to one board or the other. And there are questions related to the roles and the incompatibility. As you can imagine, neither David or myself know all of them by heart. So I please go to the link that I put in the chat where you can see all the roles in Umoja, compatibilities, incompatibilities, and the description of the roles for not only these ones, but for the all roles in Umoja. That's very important. And then we do have several students, David, appreciating the effort and how you are delivering, especially how you are going from the demo to the driving thread. So it's quite clear so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel, and thank you for the comments. So following again the driving thread, we go now to perform the action on the equipment master record, acting as an SD11 user. So the T code, so this one, let me save it. And with the T code to access the equipment master record is IE02. The equipment master record that we are retiring is 16192301. So this is the computer laptop that we were using the last date, and if we check the status, we will see that its status is assigned. So you see here, system status is installed, user status is equipment assigned. Now, if we have to, let's say, I'm still saying unassigned, but what I mean is that if we want to, let's say, undo the assignment process, we should change the status back from equipment assigned to idle, right? So it's not assigned anymore, it's idle. And we have to remove the user that was accountable from this laptop. So what are we doing? Let's think about what will happen in let's say in real life. Someone initiates the write-off process and creates a notification saying, I want to write off this laptop. Then the supervisor approves the notification. And now we're going to the owner, or let's say the person responsible of the laptop, who is, for example, Daniel, or I think had a different name, Marian Victoria. And we say, Marian Victoria, this laptop is going to be written off, so please return it. So the laptop is not anymore assigned, and then we have to remove this person from the partner linked to the equipment because it's not going to be under her accountability anymore. So we select the line and we click on this button that says undo partner assignment. Okay. You say yes. So now it's not assigned to this person anymore. And we can save, or if we want to uninstall it at the same time, right? We can go to structure and see that it has a functional location still, right? So now we say this person is not under this user and is not in this functional location anymore because will not be in the telecom network IT tower, will be somewhere else. So we can simply click on this icon here to change installation location, right? And we can click on dismantle to remove the functional location, and it will be empty. If the laptop is going to be located somewhere else for a long time, we can simply enter the new functional location. But in terms of uninstall and in terms of an assign, those are the steps that you can perform. What did we do? Let me repeat again. We access the equipment master record. We change the status from assigned to idle. we remove the person that was assigned in the tab partner assignment. So we remove the person that was here, and then we go to structure and we remove the functional location. And that's it. Now we click on save. So if we go back to this end-to-end, we have completed now these two steps, unassigned and uninstall, right? And now the planner can go and work directly on the, let's say, notification. So we can we can call the disposal planner that will act, right? So what we did was this step, update equipment and uninstall, right? And now we have to inform the disposal planner so he can start taking action. Okay, we can use, I mean, it's recommended to use again the Umoja email notification, right? So every communication is also tracked there. Note that and remember that the SD11 is responsible for handing over of responsibility from the technical section to the PMU. Okay, so but also it's possible for the disposal planner to use these reports to see what is pending their action. So going back to our end-to-end, we created the notification, we approved it. Then we asked the SD11, we send the email from the notification asking SD11 to unassign and to uninstall. Now the equipment is not the laptop, for example, is not anymore in the hands of Daniel, in the hands of this person. So we go now to the notification again. So we go to the notification again, IW52. But now we are the disposal planner, SD09. We open the notification, we see that it's approved and it's also released. We see, okay, they are retiring this, they want to retire this laptop. Here is the explanation, description. We see who is responsible. We go and check all the stuff, and then we go to the tasks and we see, okay, let me see what tasks are needed for this, let's say, write-off. Is the notification created already? So it's the status shouldn't be, this one should be completed. So I can complete this task. Did they attach the supporting documentation to the notification? That's fine. So I select it as well. Is the notification approved and released? That's fine. So I select this line and I click on this flag to complete the tasks. So what else is important to, what else is part of the process to write off this equipment? Did they inform the equipment maintainer that the notification was approved? Yeah, this was done, but maybe they didn't update the notification, so this was done. And the equipment status is already updated, and is the equipment uninstalled? That's correct as well. So these two tasks as well, I can complete them. So you see what the role of the disposal planner. He has to understand all the tasks and then follow up with the different people. Now they already informed me that the request is approved as well, and I'm reviewing now the notification, so I can even say this one is complete. If when you are working in production with your entity, if you see that there are redundant tasks or some task is missing for your particular business scenario, you can always add a new task without any problem, right? And you can also delete some others. So feel free if you need to add something to do it, and customize in case you need your own template. So this, let's say, disposal planner will also understand what is the type of disposal method that we are going to be using. Okay, so we know what is the case, and now he will choose, or she will choose, or will analyze the case to choose the proper disposal case, and when disposal method, and when he's ready, we'll save the notification. Of course, forgot to mention that this disposal planner, we need to send again another communication to the equipment maintainer for him to take the following actions. All right, so we are here at this moment, and now that the write-off has been he's already in the hands of the disposal planner, the SD11 will go again to the equipment master record to change its status to write-off in process. So if I go here, I'm now acting as SD11 again. I say, okay, the equipment, the disposal planner already reviewed the notification. He told me he's going to start with the write-off. And this equipment now is ready. And we will change, let me go a bit slower. We'll change the status of the equipment to write-off in process. You see this icon here, red icon means that it's only a change of status, write-off in process. So I go to the status, I click on the eye, and I select the status called write-off in process. Right? Still, we don't know what is the disposal method, but it's already in process, the write-off. We select the write-off, we go back, and we. So where are we? We are at this step here. We are going to do a short break of 5 minutes, but let me recap what we did before, right? And then we will do it. We'll recap also after the break. So we created the notification as SD01. We added the equipment number there. We approved the notification. Then we went to the equipment. We also unassigned the equipment and we uninstalled it. Then the disposal planner reviewed the notification and informs the SD11 to put the equipment in write-off process. And then something very important that I forgot to mention. We went to the equipment to change its status to write-off in process. And what we need to add here in this field that is called inventory number, forget about the name, it's not inventory number. This is used to enter the notification number of the write-off case. So please, this is very important, and it's a bit misleading because the name of the field is not what you expect. So in the equipment master record that is now in process of write-off, we will enter the notification number in the inventory number. Okay, I will repeat that again after the break. So Daniel, if there is any comment or question, please let me know.
Yes, thank you, David. Everything was clear. We had several comments and questions related to the incompatibility or segregation of duties between different roles. I think it's already explained. As I said, I put a link to the Umoja role guide, but just in a nutshell, SD01 will only have conflict with a role which is called SD07, which is that data maintainer for service delivery. SD02, which is the approver of a notification, will only have conflict in the process that we are now covering with SD09, the disposal planner. So if you're approving a notification for write-off, you cannot be a disposal planner. Okay, so that's in a nutshell the main points related to the roles, and I think that is clear enough. But in any case, the link to the Umoja role guide is over there in the chat. And then if you need further questions related to this, we can just take it offline. So I think we're going to go for a 5 minutes break. Thank you, David. And we shall see you in 3010. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you for coming back. It's 3:10 in Valencia, so I'm not sure what time is in your time zone because you are from all over the globe. But we are going to continue with the rest of the steps for the write-off. If you remember, we stopped right now. We stopped after changing the status of the equipment master record to write-off in process. So before the coffee break, we created a notification. We approved and released the notification, acting as a notification approver. Then we send an email to the SD11 user for him to or her to assign and uninstall the equipment master record. So it's removing the assigned user and removing the functional location. Then the SD09, the disposal planner, started taking action, reviewed the notification, updated and completed some of the tasks, and informed the SD11 that the write-off is going to start. So the SD11 changed the equipment status to write-off in process. And the SD09 created then the write-off case that is being submitted to the corresponding authority for the approval of the write-off case. So what we are going to do now is to update the status of the notification while the write-off case is being reviewed by the LPSB, HESB, or the designated authority. So please allow me now to go again to the system to perform this step. How will we do it? So if you see here again this icon, it is telling us that it's only a change of status of the notification. So we need to go and update the notification with the T code IW52. We enter the notification number, that is that one that you can see, ending in 9725. We press enter. And here we have again the notification whose status is approved. Now it's not only approved, but the write-off case is being reviewed. So we are going to click on the pencil and we'll change its status to LPSB review. You can see here there is a long list of statuses. Sorry. Okay, so one second. Change service. Okay. One moment, that I think I'm doing something wrong. So this is the same notification that we have. Local property survey board. Right. This is the case. So let me see if I'm selecting await approval decision, HPSB. It's also. Oh, I'm having a problem with the status. So 1 second.
Hello, you cannot jump to.
Sorry, can you hear me? Yeah, because sorry, I was doing something stupid. I was jumping one status. My eyes were missing the write-off request prepared. So I have to go from request approved to write-off request prepared. Okay. And thank you for, because someone was mentioning you are jumping something, so I realized. And then we save. Okay, so now we go to the notification. And then we change to the following status, right? So the request was created, then it was approved, then we created we prepare the right of request, and now we send it to LPSV review, right? So one of the good things that has this, let's say, a status diagram of the notification is that you cannot jump. For example, you cannot go to review approved if you don't go through the previous corresponding steps. So in this case, we are selecting LPSV review. Okay, and now I'm going to save. So thank you. So now we are in this status, right? The right of case is being reviewed, and that's why it's a LPSV review. So do not confuse this name of the statuses. So LPSV review means that it is under review. It's not that it's already, let's say, approved. So after the process goes on and they are reviewing the case, you can also change the status of the, let's say, notifications to awaiting approval decision when the review is complete but is pending official communication. So in this process, most of the things are done out of the system, but you can reflect here. For example, if you are still waiting for the final communication, you can select option 5, right, and save it. Right. So the idea during this phase of the write-off is that after preparing the case, you submit it, and then you are, let's say, reflecting here what is going on in the physical world. When eventually the write-off case is approved, the review is approved, you can go and select the option review approved, right? So you select review approved, which is the status REWA, and important, the right of case needs to be attached. And as I said before, in order to attach, you can also see it in the job aid that we will send, but you have to click on this icon here and say, I want to attach to the service notification. So you will click on records management functionality to attach the signed right of case. All right, so this is already approved. I click on saved, and the notification, it's already approved. So what else I want to mention? Yeah, so we already are in the approved notification. We have to attach the documents to the notification. All right, and it's very important because the date of the approval of the right of case will be used to retire fixed assets in case of fixed asset being written off. All right, so if it's already approved, right, we change the status to review approved. We also attach the right of case. And again, if we need to change the status from review approved, right, we have now to go to the disposal process. So the right of case was created, was submitted, it was reviewed by the corresponding board, it was approved, then we attach to the notification the right of case scanned, and we have already there the disposal method that is going to be used, and then we can change the notification to disposal in process. Okay, and I click on save. If when you're going to study or review this material, you see that in this first slide, I'm skipping some of the details, but if you continue with the reference material, you will see that all the steps are there. So we have here the information about LPSV review, okay, the right of in process, LPSV awaiting approval decision, review approved, and then as well the in disposal process. So what else we are missing now? After changing the notifications to in disposal process, we have to go again to the equipment master record. So going back to our end-to-end, we'll see here that the disposal planner will inform SD11 about the disposal method. So SD11 will come again to the equipment master record and will change its status to disposal method, whatever was chosen. So we go again to the equipment master record, and you should know by heart the T code IE02. We open the equipment master record and we change its status. Right now it's in a status write-off process. We click on a status and we change it to disposal method, whatever we chose. So for this particular example, let's say that the disposal method was destruction, for example, or donation. Maybe donation is better. And we change this status to donation disposal method. We go back, we save, and then in the reports we will know that this equipment is in a status, in write-off status, whose disposal method is donation. So we go back to our scenario, and we now that the disposal method is chosen, until we can close the notification, some other actions will be taken out of the system. For example, the real, let's say, disposal, the physical disposal of the laptop itself. And at this stage, it's also important to mention the following. So we are in this process, right? So the disposal planner inform SD11 to update the equipment status to indicate the disposal method. So we chose donation in this case, and now the disposal of the equipment will happen. And very important, as Cyril was mentioning, and also that's why we have Muriel connected. If the item that we are writing off is a fixed asset, one of the tasks in the notification is to retire the fixed asset because it has some additional implications. This is something that the disposal planner will have to keep in mind. So if the disposal planner is working on the notification, if the disposal planner sees on this location data asset number, he or she should know that this is an asset, a fixed asset, and needs to be retired. So if the disposal planner is still managing the task, we'll see that you see the write-off case was submitted already, so we'll complete this task. The equipment master record was changed into write-off in process, so this task is also completed. Then the survey board already reviewed the case, and the case is already approved, right? And the write-off case or the memorandum is already attached to the notification, so we can complete also this task. So what is pending? Updating the equipment with the disposal method is already done, so what is pending? Next task is fixed asset retirement. So if the equipment that we are retiring is a vehicle or is a generator or is something that has a value beyond the capitalization threshold and was eventually created as a fixed asset, we need to inform the FA15 user to retire this asset, right? The FA15 user, another user that is from, it has, let's say, access to financial fixed asset module, will have to recognize the asset. And in other words, we'll have to retire and remove the value of the asset from the books. Okay, the FA15 is one of these users that we mentioned at the beginning that is involved, but not directly involved, but only if it's a fixed asset. So apart from that, what else we need to do? We have to actually retire. I mean, physically dispose the asset. If it's sale, then this will trigger another process. If it's cannibalization, will trigger another process. If it's destruction, if it's donation, but we need to actually get rid of the equipment. Once this is done, we will go to the notification and we'll say, okay, this asset was retired. Now, in our scenario, it was a laptop, so it's not a fixed asset. So we don't need to complete this task, but instead we can delete it, for example. All right. So going again to our end-to-end, our story, we changed the status of the equipment to disposal method donation. Now let's assume that the asset is already, the equipment is already disposed. We already donated the equipment to a particular, I don't know, to another entity, and this is over. So we have to now close the notification. And in order to close the notification, and we have to also, let's say, deactivate the equipment. So we can do, actually, we will need to deactivate first the equipment, otherwise we cannot close the notification without completing all the tasks. So, these two actions can happen basically almost in parallel. Yes. So I'm going to deactivate the equipment. Again, this is done by SD09. No, sorry, this is done by SD11, right? Like all the other actions in the equipment are done by SD11. And in order to deactivate this equipment, we'll have to go, this is a bit tricky, so you can always check the job aid if you don't remember, but you have to go to equipment. I think it's functions, active, inactive, deactivate. So we just deactivated the equipment and we click on save. You see the status of the equipment changed to inactive and we click on save. This is done, and now yes, if we go to the notification, we can complete the action deactivate equipment, and we can complete the action, the task close notification, and with all tasks completed, we can go and complete the write of notification and then assume this case is closed. So we click on this flag to complete the full notification. So we had the reference date, today is 28, reference time. We click on the green check. The equipment not installed at the reference time. Okay, that's fine. And then we save. And no need to save because it's completing the notification. And that's the very last step of the process, right? Here you have more reference material that you can check. The step about the activation of the equipment and closing the notification. So actually, when I will send this material, I'll have to put before the deactivation, and then maybe I will put the deactivation here before closing the notification. And Daniel, any question before we go to the last slide?
Yes, thank you, David. So we had it was great to see the activity in the chat firing up with so many colleagues asking questions posed by some others. So thank you guys, because this is a teamwork, not only David and myself or Kirill. So thanks for sharing the information from one to another. There was a bit of a lot of comments related to what happens with individual items that with a depreciated value of less than 3,000. So that will be the case of set DO, designated authority. So that's the type of, let's say, category that you should select in the write-off in the equipment master record. So some of the students were asking what it should be the selection for this type of item. So it will be the answer is set D0, designated authority, and Kirill is explaining that along with the link to the job aid. Liena Carbonelli is asking whether we could explain more on the disposed equipment. I believe that she was mentioning how to, let's say, deactivate in the system. If not, please, Liena, please complete your question, because the disposal itself, it's a process that it's already explained in the job aid as well. But if you can further elaborate. And for the rest, it's more or less covered with the answers from the colleagues, and I think I give you the floor to finish off the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniel. And regarding the disposal method itself and the disposal process, This one is quite long, and depending on the disposal method itself, it will require different transaction, as you can see on this slide. So if we choose sale, we will have to have the sales order, abound delivery, transfer order for picking. I mean, depending if you have inventory or not. So since this is an introductory session, we couldn't cover all the type of disposal, right? But as always, we remain available to clarify with further details offline, and also it's all let's say detailed as well in the job 8. So just to close the session, I just changed, Daniel, the sequence of the steps as well. So make sure that we are sending this last version when we set the attachment. Yeah, and yeah, just to close this session, some 3 slides, if you don't mind, that contain a kind of summary. So 1 second, let me. Let me show these last slides. Just as to summarize, so out of this process, what tasks are to be completed by the technical session or the self-accounting unit? So the creation of the notification and its approval, the attachment of the supporting documentation, the informing the SD11 about the notification that was approved, and then update the equipment status and uninstall if applicable, because the SD11 could be on the same unit, and then inform the disposal planner that the request was approved. So what tasks are typically to be completed by property management unit is the disposal planner to review notification, everything that has to be do with the disposal planner itself. And what you have here, another, let's say, way of grouping all the tasks, so you can go and check for your own reference. This is same information structured in a different way. And a final view to what we did as well today. So you see we have actions on the notification, actions on the equipment master record. And very important what Daniel mentioned today about linking the equipment master record and the notification using the inventory number field, and also fixed asset retirement if there is fixed assets involved. All right. So thank you very much for your patience. And in this last half an hour, I think Daniel is going to cover some other reports from yesterday from the BI side that we couldn't cover. So thank you very much for your patience. And we'll send all the material, this presentation, as well as the job 8 for your future reference. And we always remain available in case you need further assistance. Okay. Thank you so much. And Daniel, I give you the floor and the control.
Okay. Thank you, David. Thanks a lot. We still have, let's say, 20 more minutes to go through the different reports. Just let's say, just to tell you that there are plenty of reports, and I think that you can see now the Umoja Job 8 webpage, right, David? Is that okay? So there, as you can see, there are all the links to all the reports in BI related to property management. The ones linked to write-off and disposal, let's start with write-off, are the following. First, we have the report number 6, as you can see, write-off backlog for fixed assets. And you have 2 reports linked to that KPI, one web intelligence report and another, which is an analysis workspace. So if I go to the presentation, because I'm going to send to you this presentation with only two reports, the other ones related to other disposal methods and other KPIs related to write-off are in the Job 8 webpage. So if you need further information, I think that's the best let's say, a place where you can go and elaborate a little bit more all those reports. It's there, the Umoja Job Aids webpage. But for the time that we have, is only 30 minutes. I think it's best to basically cover these two reports, which is the duration of the write-off process. In a way, this and let me. In a way, this report number 8 will cover basically how long it takes this write-off of process to take place. As you know already, there are plenty of steps, not taken only by one role, but by different roles, and the notification is involved, the equipment master record is involved, the local property or HQ property survey board, it's involved. So it may take time to write off a specific piece of equipment or an asset. So this report, it's actually covering that part, how long it takes for the equipments to be written off. The target for this KPI is set up 90 days and the tolerance is 30 days. So what you can see basically here, it's once you go through the prompt where you can select the period that you want to analyze and the business area, as well as the reporting entity and equipment types. So you can define the report from an asset point of view or from the equipment point of view, or you can actually merge both of them if you click here in both. Okay. So just bear in mind that you have the different options and you have the link to the job aid as well. So basically, this is what you're going to see in this report. On the left side, a table with the completed write-off processes in your business area, along with the reporting entity, and the ones pending. So basically, you have the number of items, the number of days in general, and the whether these pieces of equipment are at the DMS level with a delegation of authority at the local property survey board or HQ survey board. So those are the days that in general and as an average, the write-off process is it's taking. That's for the completed write-offs. For the pendings, you still have the same piece of information. Okay, so as I said before in yesterday's session, always focus on your reporting entity rather than in the business area, because probably for your entities you probably do not have lots of business areas linked to yourself. Another story are the peacekeeping operations, where they have spread out equipment in different missions and accordingly different business areas. So that's the duration of the write-off process, quite straightforward. But I want to focus attention to the analysis workspace. So remember that for this report, we have a web intelligence report, which will give us an average of the duration of the write-off process by reporting entity and business area. But the good thing about this analysis workspace, and it went off, it's the possibility of actually identifying the equipment or assets numbers that are within the process of being written off. So in this case, we have 126 pieces of equipment under this process. So the idea will be to drop into the report the equipment number, the authorization group, or even the cost center, or who is the let's say person accountable for that particular equipment, and we can do a little bit of more analysis in terms of granularity. Remember that the analysis workspaces give us a little bit of more chance to go down to the specifics, drill down to the specifics or each of those equipments, whereas the web intelligence reports are just KPI based, so just launches the data, and then we see whether we are targeting the KPI or we are far for being compliant with that. So that's as per report number 8, and remember that the link to the to the report job aid is in the Umoja job aid web page. As always refer back to at the end of the job aid to the equipment scope, the scope determination, where you see the conditions that are applying the logic that it's been selected in order to identify the data. So obviously, all the equipment that will be under this, let's say, cube of data are the ones with the notification type PW, as David explained. So that's why it's so important that the notification is linked to the equipment master record in the inventory number. So the system understands and can link a notification with an equipment number, right? And then you will be able to see both numbers assigned to one record. So in general, all these reports will display all the notifications with PW and will exclude the ones deleted, the equipment with the status deleted, in the last day of the month of period 2. Okay. Then the ones that have been completed already, the ones the equipment that has been completed before the period selected, will include notifications created within the period selected by the user. And for equipment being fixed assets, the relation between the equipment and the notification is taken directly from the notification number, as I mentioned before. So quite complete, this one, and I think that it would be great if you start, if you haven't done so, to start using this report number 8 on the duration of the write-off process. Because even though that we can put a lot of efforts on, from the system point of view, in going through all the different steps, there are a lot of decisions to be taken outside the system that may delay a little bit the process. So that's why this report is quite handy. Then let me go back to the job aid page. We have report number 6 with the write-off backlog for only for fixed assets. There, I want to show you a couple of screenshots. Okay, so let me see. So this is basically how the report looks. You have a combination of reporting entity and business areas with the number of assets over 30 days in terms of being written off, the percentage of the whole sample of assets to be written off over 30 days. In this case, we see that, for example, for Undof, which is a peacekeeping operation, we have most of the assets being under the process of write-off are over 30 days. And then it's giving us the information of the capitalized value for those items, then the net book value as well, and the number of assets that are under the process of being written off with less than a month, under 30 days. So the breakdown, it's basically which ones are over 30 days, which ones are under 30 days, with information on the capitalized value and net book value and number of assets. Okay, so that's it's putting actually a threshold of 30 days. And from there, you have a very good perspective of your, let's say, the situation in your entity. Let me go down a little bit. And here we go. There is another tab in the report where you can see the specifics of those assets, right? So, for example, for Undof, you have the asset number, the cost center, which is linked, which is the description of the asset, serial number, the class, the asset class, and the capitalized value individual by individual asset. So the good thing about this this report number 6 as a web intelligence report is just that you have a good overview of the assets undergoing write-off process for over 30 days, less than 30 days with capitalized value and net book value. But on top of that, you have another tab where you can see the specifics of those numbers, right? So that's quite interesting, that one. Okay, so, and excuse me if we're going a little bit fast, but I think that in order to have a complete overview of the job, different reports, BI reports for write-off and disposal, it's best if we just go through the web page here. So we went through the report number 6 on the backlog for write-off, report number 8 with the duration of the write-off process, Then we jump to report number 22, not found yet location, right off timeline. Let me click on that one. Okay, so let me just go directly into the report. Okay, so these ones will identify the equipment not found yet. Okay, and the days that these pieces of equipment are being in that situation, right? So from there, you can have a good sample with equipment numbers of eventually the number of pieces of equipment that will be subject to be written off in the near future. Okay, so this is a type of report that you can use in complementary to the other reports, to the ones in order to understand how many number of items and which items will be subject to be written off, because basically they are not found or we have problems in order to locate them for whatever reason, right? Getting back to the page. Okay, that's report number 22. Report number 25, no, before that, excuse me, report number 18, mostly looking at the disposal backlog. Let me take a look at it. Disposal backlog, it will be pretty much the same as the report number, I think it's 6, where you have a backlog in terms of write-off. Here, it will tell you, and let me go back to the presentation because I think I have it here much better. Okay, report number 2018 for disposal backlog will actually differentiate between the equipment which backlog is greater than 180 days and less than 180 days. And it will have actually two tabs, two KPIs, disposal for by commercial sale and disposal by other than commercial sale, because I guess that the disposal by commercial sale, it's the one that is mostly used across the board. So that's why it has a devoted, let's say, tag within report. You see disposal backlog by commercial sale, and then other types of disposal methods are all merged in the first tab, which is disposal backlog other than commercial sale. In any case, the target for this KPI is set at 0% with a tolerance rate of 25, because in this case, it's we're talking about which number, how many number of pieces of equipment are taking more than 180 days to be disposed. So the scope determination for this report, it's basically for KPI 1, which is the rest of disposal methods are cannibalization disposal method, destruction, donation, and trade-in, those 4. And then for sell commercial disposal method, we have separated, let's say, tab. Obviously, all the notifications with type PW are considered in this report, excluding those where the user status is set to disposal impairment complete. And how it looks, I have here a screenshot of the 2 tabs, but basically you have the items to be approved to be disposed by commercial sale, and whether this is the number of pieces of equipment which backlog is less than 180 days, which represents in this case 87.69%, and 8 reports only have a backlog of over 180 days. So the things like we should probably be closer to less than 6 months in order to dispose most of our equipment rather than going to the second part of the year. So that's for disposal backlog for commercial sale. Then the rest of the equipments to be disposed in other type of methods are included, all of them in a second tab, and it's pretty much the same. Total approved items, the ones with less than 180 days and the ones with are over 180 days. So that's how you may read this table for report number 18. And then you have the same type of information, but as an analysis workspace, disposal backlog. And here, as we always say, here you just give a little bit of granularity so you can see which is the equipment cost center, which is the disposal type, if you want to do an analysis of the disposal type other than commercial sale, only for those ones, and the number of equipment numbers or asset numbers as well. So I think it's best to basically go to the job aid webpage, besides the presentation that will be shared with you, and then you can go through the different links over here. Then we have report number 25, only for commercial sale. And then we have report number 27. This is a good one. Let me click on that one, which will link the write-off and disposal process over here. Okay, let me see. Here we go, where we can have the equipment number, the equipment material group, and at the end, let me see, here we go. So we have specifics on each of equipment number, the material group, the description, the equipment acquisition value, and the date, and all information on the main body of the report as well. So there are plenty of reports, as I said, but I think that it's best if you just focus on the first two, which is report number 8 and 18, and from there you understand which is the situation in your mission. I think that with this, because I didn't want to go really along with all these reports, you know already how it's the methodology. You have the prompt, you go along with the job aid, and then you see your results from the your entity point of view. And without any further ado, I think that we may want to finish the. I don't know, David, if you want to say something related to the write-off process.
I think it's fine. I was checking also the questions, and there are some questions but everything is more or less clarified through the chat. So I think, yeah, we can close here, Daniel. Thank you.
So remember that we started with a kickoff VTC on Monday, then we started the training per se on Tuesday, and David covered the goods receipt. Remember how this equipment serial number is created automatically after the goods receipt process. Then there is an automatic enrichment of the equipment. From there, obviously, there are several other fields that needs to be enriched for other processes down the road to be more clear. So that's the part of the equipment enrichment. After that, David went through the notification of the assignment. Remember how important it's to assign a piece of equipment with a function location along with a BP number. From there, we jumped into the physical verification process, where the SD8 will create the plan, will print out the plan, will generate, we coordinate with the offices, which is the physical verification plan. After that, we'll compile all the information in the template of the equipment subject to be physically verified with the previous discrepancy report. Then after we have gone through the physical verification process, we input the discrepancies, if any, in the template. We upload those records into Umoja again, and then we have another view. We go to H08 and we see how this massive upload of the discrepancies after the physical verification are in the system. So after that, because this physical verification process takes several times during the life cycle of a piece of equipment, but eventually the equipment will be written off. That was the situation explained today by David, where how important the notification is and how it's linked to the equipment master record. There are more than one or two roles involved. There are several decisions to be taken outside the system. That's why it may take a little bit more time to write off and dispose a particular piece of an equipment. That's why we have the BI reports to track down all those durations and backlog. And that's why for physical verification, we have the BI reports in order to understand KPIs, how many of pieces of equipment are found or not found, how many pieces of equipment are within the scope of the physical verification. So we tried our best, because as you can see in 5 days, 2 hours per day, or 4 days, 2 hours per day, it's just an induction training. This is only induction training. There are plenty of information and knowledge that may be subject to share in some other trainings, but I think at least you have, in a nutshell, in case that you were not so acquainted with all these processes, at least you have a good starting point, I think, with the sessions, with the documentation, along with the job aids. Then I want to just mention for 1 minute or two the assessment. We agreed to have a 10 questions online assessment. I will activate the assessment in, let's see, 1 or 2 hours from now, and you will have up until Thursday next week to complete. Just one try, don't worry. The questions are quite simple. As you have attended or gone through the different sessions, or even reading the documentation is more than enough. But we want to double check whether, in general terms, the messages were duly conveyed and you guys understood the basic points. And it's a way for you to test yourself and your colleagues and see whether there are some points or gaps in terms of knowledge. For us, it's important for the forthcoming trainings as well. And what else? I don't know if I think Kirill may be online as well, or any other colleague in New York who wants to chip in case that Kirill, you want to say a word before we do the closing.
Thank you very much, Daniel and David. Yeah, just very briefly, thank you for this the delivery of this training. It was, as usual and as always, done in an exemplary manner. Thank you very much for that. We here from the headquarters are looking forward to continue building on the expertise that is sort of being built through this training, and will continue engaging with all the colleagues in the offices of regional commissions, the tribunals, and all the entities. In the coming weeks, you would hear from us. We will issue the revised strategic guidance on property management for the year 2020. In parallel, our colleagues here, Viria, Edward, and Lestrade, are working on the development and updating of the policy interpretation. So you would hear from us in the coming weeks and months, and look forward to working with you for the to continue rolling out and strengthening the property management in all entities. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Kirill, for your words. It's always a pleasure to work in close collaboration with you and your team. It's really a luxury to have an SMEs like you guys. And well, so David, over to you, and we can finish. Thank you very much for your time, guys.
What else to add? Thank you so much for your patience. And I know it's difficult to follow remote sessions of this duration and this amount of content, but I think looking at the questions and at the comments, I think everybody did a great job following this. And thank you, Daniel, as well, for all the support. And that's it. Have a happy weekend.
Happy weekend to everyone, and see you in the next one.